Yeah, great question. And that is how I felt. I was like, wow, this is, people are saying this is hard, but I'm like growing my business and it's scaling and, everything else. I don't know if it's because, I have that Marine mentality of get up early and, go to home late or, you're there until the work is done, kind of thought process. But that has I think I allude some of that success to that kind of work ethic that I learned as a Marine, and then transitioning that over and just coming to the office every day, getting up, 5 a.m., getting my exercise in, getting my Bible time in, those types of things to get my head right for the day and then going out and crushing it.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey folks, welcome back to the show. Today's guest is a Marine veteran who's investing in single family and multifamily properties, and he's really a Swiss Army knife of real estate investing and leads a sales team as well as a flipping team. Please welcome Justin Noe. Justin, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here, Dylan.
Great to have you on the show here, Justin. I always like to start off at the top by asking folks how they got into the real estate space.
Yeah, so my parents actually owned a few rentals. We lived in one and then we moved to another spot. So I kind of have a little background there with it, but they were landlords that were never like did it professionally. So mom and pop stuff. And anyway, so I had a bad, taste about like what it would own to rentals. And then in 2010, I was on my like third duty station as a Marine, and my wife that Christmas gave me a book and a couple books. And the one of them that every real estate investor, I believe, has read at this point is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Crushed through that. And it just got, completely changed my mindset about real estate and wealth building in general. And so I went down the rabbit hole in 2011, and we bought our first home as like a live-in flip that we eventually turned into our first rental property when we PCS'd out of that state.
I want to ask you about investing while also being military. I think a lot of people are maybe proceeding with a degree of caution because they're thinking about, well, I have to make sure that I'm able to focus and I don't want to have my attention split. But you also had family that was involved in real estate. Was your thought process at the time when you were in the Marines, hey, I'm going to be a real estate investor and this is part of the process? Or was it really more of, let's see how this goes?
Yeah. So I was super motivated at the time to get into wealth building was my driving factor. I had re-enlisted in Iraq a couple years before and had received, about a $50,000 tax-free bonus. Thought I was the richest guy in the world at the time. And, I had placed it in the stock market, I don't know, in 2007. I don't know if you know what happened in 2008, but the stock market took a big dump. So anyway, long story short, that book came into my life at the end of 2010 and, saw an opportunity there, got excited, looked at a ton of different homes in 2011. I'm sure you could just imagine how many options were available to people to buy. And so, we finally found one in a neighborhood that our friends already lived in, and it was a short sale. I didn't know what that meant at the time. They told me it was going to take a long time to get through it because the banks were, stopping up. It ended up going
Right.
really fast for me. And we bought a house that was fairly new. It was only like 6 years old when we purchased it. That person had bought it for $300,000 and we were buying it from him for $150,000.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
And so right off the bat, I felt like we were getting a 50% discount on a property. He had a tenant in it living at the time. We spoke to the tenant and, she was paying $1,500. I didn't understand, real estate math at the time, but I was like, my payment's going to be about $700. This person's paying $1,500. Sounds like there's money to be
A
made
deal.
there. Yeah. Again, no clue how that was going to work. But it was, it did end up working in our favor. At the end of that, I did the math on it. I believe over the 8-year period that we owned it, it was about $125,000 net gain to us. That's from the sale that we had on it. And then also, the rent that we collected over the 8 year or about the 5 years that we rented it out.
So, Maureen, you're also seeing that there may be some difficulties on Wall Street. You're getting into real estate investing yourself. You got the family that had the background in real estate, but also plotting your own path. Were you thinking at that point in time, I'm going to be building sales teams and have a real estate portfolio? Or were you thinking, this is a good wealth building tool, but let me see how the first couple of them go? And then also, what was the process like scaling to at now you've got the sales teams and the flipping team? How did that scaling process look?
Yeah, I did not have a dialed in exact vision, like a vivid vision, if you will. And we were in Maryland where we bought that first house. We ended up getting orders to California and we went into California and the market had heated back up there a little bit. I kicked myself in the butt, the fact that we didn't buy anything while we moved back to California. And we basically took like a 3-year hiatus until we moved to North Carolina. So back to the other coast where we bought another home and got more dialed into it. And that was in 2016. So from 2016 onward, we bought another home in North Carolina. And then we, in 2019, got really serious and dug in deep and started investing down here in Florida, solely buying, rental properties, not where we were living in them or anything like that. And the rest was kind of history at that point and got me to where I am at today. So, yeah, it was definitely back then not the case of having a vision. Today, we do have a vision of where we're going and what we're going to be doing. And I looked at getting my license at one point in time, but I didn't want to work weekends or nights. And so I second guessed it. But that's not how I have set my business up now. I'm not afraid to work nights and I'm not afraid to work weekends. But I have an office that we come to every single day and we get after it.
That would be an interesting thing. I don't know how many people are active duty and then also have a real estate license. I actually have not had anyone on the show do that. I've had a law enforcement do that, but it would be an interesting niche to do because you're probably unable to go really full time, of course, because you would have a very full career, but also you'd be able to partake in it in a different way. I want to pivot and ask you about 2019, because that sounds like a pivotal year for you. And I think it was a pivotal year for a lot of people. Great year, I'd say, for real estate. You were in Tampa at the time in 2019?
So I was in transition from North Carolina to Colorado. And in between that, I took a trip back to my hometown and dropped my kids off. My wife and I went to Colorado, came back to pick them up and leave, but we spent a couple days. And in that time period, we just drove around showing them the town where I grew up, that kind of stuff, and ended up seeing some houses for sale. And I was just like, I've been looking for an investment property. So let me just run some numbers on the ones here. And I started running numbers and I was like, oh, wow, like we can pick this thing up for like $65,000 and it'll rent out for like $800. I was like, man, 1% rule plus. I was like, it's gonna make money. Anyway, call that agent. That house is under contract, but she's like, hey, I've got some other ones that are similar. So we went and looked at one of them and we ended up putting in an offer and buying it about 30 days later. And that kind of kickstarted what we were doing down here. I took that vignette and I had a Marine buddy of mine. We had like an accountability group together, just him and I, about our real estate goals and our
Yeah.
professional goals in the Marines. We were both went to officer school together and all that kind of thing. So we would just talk about it. And I was like, hey, man, check this out. I think we should look further down where I grew up and start investing down there because I, look at this deal that we put together.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
He thought I had a bias because it was my hometown. He went and dug in on the data. We were Intel Marines, and so he's big on analysis, and so he looked at it from a different perspective and noticed that yes, this is a great place to invest. You can buy cash flowing properties down in this area, and at the time, obviously, rates were much better, so it made cash flow a little bit easier to get. Little did we know what was going to happen in 2020 at the time. So him and I kind of started a company together in 2019, bought a couple more properties, ended up having a big failure on one of them. One of them was like a solid like double. We got a duplex out of it. Another one we thought was going to be a triplex. We ended up selling it for like $120,000 loss. That was a tough deal. You can hear about it on another podcast, but we learned a ton there. We lost it all like during 2020. And then in 2021, we boosted back up and we went on and, collected 4 more properties and continued on from there.
I want to ask you about the investing path. It sounds like you were looking at single family. It looked like maybe a couple multifamily. Were you thinking at that point in time, 2019, 2020, 2021, right? You still had low interest rates then. Were you thinking, hey, we're going to really stack up as much as we can in a portfolio of these single family homes, couple duplexes, and they're all, 1% rule and above. This is great for us.
Yeah, that was the plan at that point in time. We were doing the BRRRR method at the time, buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. And so we got a lot of those in 2021. And, we were going to be, refinancing them out in like 2022 timeframe. And so we got into 2022 and we had this big refinance package that we were going to do. And then rates went up and banks got scared. And these were like more of like a commercial style loan. And so we actually ended up not refinancing those into that loan product because the banks were now only going to they were going to give us less money out and we were going to have a higher interest rate. And so it didn't make sense to trade what we had for that package. So we ended up spending months putting it together just for it basically to die at the end. I think we refinanced one that we had the most equity in, and we pulled that out and got all of our private investors paid back out. We went to one of our other private investors and we just, refinanced specifically with him for like a longer term note. So a 30-year AM schedule, but a 5-year balloon. We're still on that right now. But we're just looking to offload that asset before we, have to, make that balloon payment on there. So, that was a tricky time, but we learned a ton, about timelines, getting stuff done faster and making sure it can happen because things can change pretty quickly when people get scared and then they, banks start changing their rules on you. And if you're doing conventional style mortgages like, with like DSCRs, there's not the same requirements as like a primary residence that you're purchasing, that you're
Right.
going to live in and stuff like that. So we learned a ton about it. And yeah, so it was good overall because now we're in a better position to offload those assets now.
I want to pivot a bit here and ask you about scaling the sales team that you've done. It's an interesting space because you've got the real estate license, so you can put it on the MLS. You can also assign it to investors. You're also actively looking for deals. You mentioned before hopping on here, land deals as well. Walk me through how that business came about and how it's evolved over time and how you scaled out the team.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Yeah. So in 2019, the first property my partner and I bought together ended up negotiating. It was like a for sale by owner. Called the guy directly, find out like the guy went to school with my mom and all that kind of stuff, but that was till later. But we negotiated the deal ourselves. I, found a contract that was a Florida as is contract, and we put it together, and then we ended up closing on that. And then in 2021, we found another deal that I had kind of put together. And at that point, I was like, I need to get my license. And so I think in 2020 I had gotten it, but I was activated in Colorado and really wasn't putting it to use until later in 2021. And so just kind of transition planning for the Marines. Like, what am I going to do? Am I going to be able to do real estate investments and potentially sales long term? I was a little nervous about the sales piece because I'd never been in a sales position or anything like that. I've done negotiations, but normally had a sales representative that we would, go between for our negotiations. And so after doing a couple of my own, I was like, man, I feel like this would be great, and it would be an asset for our team moving forward. So went all in on sales right around retirement time. And yeah, it's been a crazy ride. In 2022, in June of 2022 is when I really, went full time. No W-2 job necessarily. I was still an active duty Marine, but I had like this early out program. So I was, going through that and was able to scale up in 2022, kind of get my name out there. Oh, sorry. No, 2022 wasn't the case. I get these mixed up because of all the transition stuff that happened,
Yeah.
but it was 2023. June of 2023 is when I really went all in on it because I was still a Marine and I didn't have the time. But in June of 2023 is when I went all in. Ever since then, like, our business has really scaled and taken off. We have a couple more agents. Actually, we have 4 more agents on our team now, and we all have various responsibilities within the team structure. And everyone that's on the team also enjoys investments. And so we try to find deals to be able to partner on with each other and things like that.
I think what's really interesting about hearing your journey is, this was an uncertain time for anybody, let alone someone going through a career transition. If you take real estate as a whole, Florida real estate, for instance, 2019 to today, we're looking at two totally different things. It's harder to be a fix and flipper today in many cases than it would have been to be a fix and flipper in 2019. You've got slimmer margins, you've got higher rates, you've got different market pressures. And so when you were getting in, going full time, you mentioned 2023, there was still a lot of change and uncertainty, and that was where you were going full time with it. So it was an interesting time to really dive in. Were you feeling any of that, or was it because you were really immersing yourself for the first time fully that you were like, this is all I really know. This has got to be the new norm?
Yeah, great question. And that is how I felt. I was like, wow, this is, people are saying this is hard, but I'm like growing my business and it's scaling and, everything else. I don't know if it's because, I have that Marine mentality of get up early and, go to home late, or, you're there until the work is done, kind of thought process. But that has, I think I allude some of that success to that kind of work ethic that I learned as a Marine, and then transitioning that over and just coming to the office every day, getting up, 5 a.m., getting my exercise in, getting my Bible time in, those types of things to get my head right for the day, and then going out and crushing it, going to, all kinds of networking meetings, a part of, various boards in the community. And then, so serving my community as well is a big factor. For me personally, I enjoy that. I love where I grew up. And so, I definitely can feel that it is difficult out there, right? When we were buying stuff, as investors in 2019, 2020, 2021, it was like it's hard to find a deal because they're moving so fast.
Right.
And then now things move slower, but it's like, oh, it's hard to find a deal because they can't make money. So people are always having the excuses of why things are hard. And we try to just, find areas that it isn't hard, right? And get in there. I shouldn't say hard, it's gonna be hard, but challenging, in trying to find in deals. So there's a deal in every type of market. You just have to be willing to look, and you have to be willing to put in the work and the effort every single day to get it done.
Justin, we are coming up on time here. Where can folks go if maybe they're in the greater Tampa area and they're looking at deals, would like some feedback, or if they've got a deal and they'd like to reach out to you?
Yeah. So most active on Instagram. My handle is Justin Noe Real Estate. Noe is spelled Noe. So again, Justin Noe and then real estate, all one word. And then we do have a website that you can check out as well. And that is justinnoerealestate.com. That is like the first place that you can interact with us, leave us messages. You'll get my contact information there if you want to give us a call. And yeah, love to help anybody out, at least evaluate the deal for you, give it a second look, and kind of give you an opinion on that.
Justin, thank you so much for coming on the show here today.
All right. Thank you, Dylan.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.